welcome to Wednesday's edition of Morning Brews. My name is Ryan Smeltz, and today we are talking about forget the competition. Okay, so I have 3 bullet points here. Again, number 1, there's no such thing, of course, as competition. Number 2, worrying about the competition is looking behind you. Number 3, a rising tide lifts all boats, which I'm sure you have heard that before. However, let's jump into it. I am super excited about today's episode because I actually have a couple sub-bullet points, which if you have been listening to the other episodes of Morning Brews, then you know that is somewhat rare. So, number 1, there's no such thing as competition. I often hear that people get concerned about competition. And the truth is, when you take a look at businesses, if you were to compare them side by side, it is almost impossible to find 2 that are identical. Even in a world where you franchise, of course, if 2 people, say, each owned a Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A isn't going to allow those to be right beside each other. So they mitigate that under their own brand. But then you have Chick-fil-A, you have Popeyes, you have KFC. So, of course, they're competitors. One thing that makes them, it makes it so that they're not actually competing is they're always looking for ways to be different than someone else. In the world of small business, not only is it extremely easy to set yourself apart from other businesses, but there's always someone out there who you may view as competition that's not working as hard or putting in as much effort as you are into your business. So the sub-bullet points I have under this one is, number 1, everyone's business is different. We just talked about that a little bit. However, I want you to take a look at what you have set up. For example, when I take a look at my warehouse and what I do in handling the logistics and hiring and managing my team, if I were to take another warehouse and put it right beside mine, there are going to be differences. I am extremely proud of the culture that we have built in the workplace. I believe it sets us apart, and where we cannot compete because we are a small business, it's extremely difficult to compete in the compensation aspect of the professional world. We definitely have an edge when it comes to company culture. And so that comes back to the thing I've talked about before, where some of these companies advertising their hourly rate, they have to do that because their company culture is non-existent or extremely bad. So they have to advertise the hourly rate because that's the only thing they believe that is going to bring people in the door. However, I know and we know from running businesses that a positive company culture is going to help retain them. So that's an example of something that sets us apart, and that's one reason why my warehouse doesn't have any competition. Just one of many reasons. The second sub-bullet point I have under that, so A and B. So B is have a niche and focus on it. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Right now, I am seeing more and more and more veteran coffee businesses pop up than I've ever seen before. Of course, we all know about Black Rifle Coffee. Maybe I shouldn't have plugged them since they're not a sponsor of the show. However, more and more, of course, I'm heavily involved in the veteran community. I see more and more people popping up with coffee brands. And the truth is, if you private label coffee, anybody can go out there. I can go out there right now and find a coffee supplier and say, I want the bag to be brown, and I want to slap Ryan Smeltz's coffee on it. And they're going to handle all the other stuff. They're going to handle all the FDA. They have the manufacturing plant where they make it. You can pick out what type of bag you want to put it in, send them your logo, they slap the label on, and then you can market and sell that product as yours. That's all private label is. That's all most of these major brands do. They may not own the manufacturing, they just own the brand. You know, if you've ever seen store brand, Food Lion, Walmart, they don't own the cereal companies. They've just found cereal companies that have agreed to put their brand on it. So the point I'm getting at here is, at the end of the day, if you're looking for a veteran-owned coffee company, what's going to set them apart? So I know of one coffee company that focuses on his roasting process. And I can't plug the name of the company here because I can remember the guy's name is Wayne, but one thing that sets him apart is he is doing his own roasting, and I have a very loose understanding of the coffee roasting industry. However, his is different. The way he explained it, it sounds more natural and organic than other roasters. I guess one way to compare it would be to say that it is small batch. So that's one thing that sets him apart, is that his is almost like a handmade product, so to speak. Okay, so he's doing something different. He may have a better tasting, higher quality coffee because he is investing himself into the process and much more interested in roasting the coffee than some of these other companies are. So the second one I'm going to name actually is a sponsor of the show, and that is Soldier Girl Coffee Company, because she sells CBD coffee. Now, for those of you who are unaware of what CBD is and what it does, it helps with stress, it helps with sleep, it helps with body aches and pains. And so in her putting some focus into the CBD coffee world, she's able to provide the benefits of CBD in something that everyone enjoys, and that's coffee. So where she may not be able to corner the market on a typical Colombian roast or French vanilla, that flavor is a dime a dozen, she can focus more on her niche of the CBD coffee because it has all of those so many additional health benefits than the regular coffee. So if I were to put 3 coffee companies side by side, and she owns one and Wayne has his, and then we've got this no-name brand over here, in comparison, this no-name brand veteran-owned coffee company isn't doing anything different. They don't have CBD coffee. They don't actually roast their own coffee. So the only thing that really makes them special is that they're veteran-owned. And once again, we have a veteran-owned coffee companies popping up all over the place. So that's what I'm really looking for. That's what I really wanted to talk about when I said have a niche and focus on it, is making sure that you find out whatever your strength is and capitalize on it. So I need to keep cruising along because I am running out of time. However, number 2, worrying about competition is looking behind you. And we've talked about this before when I talk about running races. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Runners don't look behind them, okay? Because can you imagine if somebody was a sprinter and they started looking behind them to see where the other person was? Watching your competition and focusing too much on what they're doing and not focusing on what you're doing is the same as looking behind you. You need to put more focus into your systems and processes and stop looking over your shoulder. They focus on winning. The runners of those races, that's sub-bullet point B. They focus on winning. So if you want to win, and this isn't something where I'm saying all other businesses are crap or yours is the best business, but I'm kind of jumping ahead to number 3 here. A rising tide lifts all boats. So this isn't to see who wins the race in the world of business. It's that everyone can win the race in the world of business. It's just a matter of, are you going to be a part of that winning team at the end of the day? And I don't believe that worrying so much about your competition and what they're doing and focusing more on what you can do to improve is really how it's going to happen. Focusing on your business, the things you can do to have a niche and put all your energy and focus into that niche is really what is going to help you succeed in the long run. So stop worrying about the competition. Realize that sometimes there will be points where you take on a customer or a client and can't help them, and you might be referring them to someone you previously recognized as competition. But because you have those professional relationships, you're able to do that. You don't have to leave a customer or client out flapping in the wind, and now you have professional relationships with people who can help you and you can help them. And once again, that brings me back to there is no such thing as competition. So just to recap really quick, forget the competition. There's no such thing. Worrying about the competition is looking behind you, and a rising tide lifts all boats. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this has been of some value to you, and I will see you on tomorrow's episode of Morning Brews.